into it. All of you are based in California, and I'm here in Washington, so we're all on the West Coast. And so a lot of our timelines have been similar during the pandemic in terms of when things shut down, and all of us have creative backgrounds and live events and all that kind of thing. So just to kind of kick things off, how are you doing during this pandemic?
Pretty good, all things considered. I mean, considering, right?
Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
Yeah, super grateful for my situation, at least, been able to focus on connecting and being creative and spending time with family. And just, it's been interesting exploring new ways of being creative and collaborating. I'm really excited for tonight for that reason.
Yeah, I'm teaching a lot online, and it's actually a lot harder. So I almost feel like I'm working more now. So that it's not been too bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a weird time to be an artist in the industry. We've had to sort of shift our focus from live to recording, and it's interesting. It's gonna be an interesting time when we come out of it too.
Mm. But what's really cool is that we're all working artists. We're all used to having to spin on a dime at different times for whatever reason. So at least I've been finding solace in, well, I've pivoted before.
Yeah. Yes.
You know.
Okay, for sure. I know up here, it's when things were kind of going through like middle of February, and I was watching all the events getting canceled that I was going to be reviewing or things of that nature. It's like, oh no, and then there's another one, oh no. And then, yeah, it really becomes a case of how do you pivot? What do you do during this time? And at the same time, it's also like giving yourself some time to not work and also not feel that pressure, because I think everyone feels, well, I have this time, I should be creative right now every minute of the day. And sometimes you want to just take that break for self-care because it's stressful. We've never, at least for me, I've never been through anything like this before. And sometimes I have to remind myself of that fact. So I would really like to kind of go through each of your backgrounds. We're kind of maybe round robin this one a little bit. So maybe Lennon, if you'd like to start off, what can you tell me about, like, you know, where you grew up, and also your arts background, so things that you studied, and if you can kind of leave the Alice part out of it, we'll kind of get to them, you know, later in the interview. So just about your own background, then we'll kind of go around to everybody.
Yeah, well, hi everyone. I'm Lennon Hobson. I'm a Los Angeles native, actually, LA-based actor, dancer, and choreographer. And I've been dancing. I was classically trained at the Santa Clarita Ballet Academy from the time I was 6 years old until I went to college, where I went to Loyola Marymount University, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Dance and a minor in theater. And now I run a theater company in Los Angeles with my business partner, Jackson Kendall, and we're called Boomstick Theater. So I do everything from producing musicals and theatrical shows to performing on camera and dancing with a lot of different bands, including Alice, and choreographing music videos throughout Los Angeles.
Wow, that's awesome. Kazi?
Tough act to follow. I'm Kasmira, also a LA native. I never talk on camera or anything, so I'm a lot more awkward with my words. But here I am. I'm a dancer. I studied film growing up. I always liked the storytelling arc of it, and just kind of dabbled in a lot of different things. I've done a lot of magic shows lately. I've done it with Lennon, with Sheena. Yeah, I'm a Pisces, so I have my hands in a lot of different pots, right, Sheena?
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, I love, you know, just disco. Disco is like a good thing for me. See, words. What am I doing? Anyways, Lennon and I live together now in Studio City. Yeah, I've been staying here in my mom's house where I grew up, so that's been nice during this time, and just connecting with family and slowing down and doing some gardening and cooking and everything like that.
Okay, that's great. Let's turn it over to Sheena.
Hey, y'all. So my name is Sheena Leigh. I am not an LA native. I am a Midwest girl, Minnesota, born and raised. I moved out to LA about 11 years ago and have never looked back. I love it out here. I'm definitely a transplant. I also have a deep dance and acting and theater background. Dancing since I was 3. I've studied everything at this point, at least to some degree, right, ladies? Like, we've all touched it all. What do? I teach yoga. I'm a fire spinner. I'm actually in quarantine learning how to do fleshing and eating fire. I'm an aerialist. I'm getting back to my aerial roots. in quarantine as well. Oh, it's so much fun, guys. I can't wait to show you. What do I do? Yeah, dancer, actor, singer, contortionist, fire artist, producer. I began writing as well. I think a lot of us have something we all have in common is we all have our fingers in 11 different things on 7 different days, and that's just exciting. Just exciting. So what else do I do? I teach yoga to the elderly in some of the assisted living buildings around me in Pasadena. I'm in Pasadena, California. And I teach imagination school to little kids. And I'm really lucky to get to do that.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. And let's turn it over to Nichelle.
All right, so I guess I'm the veteran here. I grew up in San Luis Obispo, California, which is the central coast of California, for those of you who don't know the areas. And I started off mainly as a ballet dancer. There was a ballet company up there I was part of. And then I branched out. I've worked on cruise ships. I've done theater. I've done TV. I've done movies, all that stuff. Came to LA probably almost 20 years ago. And yeah, I've had a great run here, and I've been very fortunate to work with these lovely ladies on many projects for many different companies. I have my own company, Reflections, that I do a few things here and there, and there's a couple other companies that I'm artist in residence for, and teach a lot. I actually was doing a lot of traveling before this, getting back into traveling with conventions and competitions and teaching all over the country, and that went away really fast. so I've been doing a lot of online teaching to keep busy and stuff, but happy to be here.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for telling me a little bit more about your backgrounds. And I have full transparency. I just realized I didn't really go through my background very much with all 4 of you, but that's okay. Maybe we can do that offline. I don't want to take up the time that we have. Let's kind of segue into, obviously, we're all here about Alice, and I know some of you probably have known the different members of the band perhaps longer than others. You've worked with each other on projects. So I'm just going to kind of throw this question out there to you. How did you get to know Alice? What was the first thing that you remember in terms of your interaction with somebody related to Alice? And what can you tell me about that? And anybody can jump in.
I'll go. So I first met Sasha in 2012 on a show we were doing that was based on like the 1920s, 1940s. And we were doing a music video with Alice at the time, or Alice Underground, I guess it was, called Catch Me at Midnight, Catch Me Before Midnight. Before Midnight. And Sasha let me wear her grandmother's vintage dress. And that was like, I was really nervous. Or, you know, Sasha has this amazing energy and just so kind. And the fact that she like put me in a dear family member's dress. It was just a really touching moment. And that was my first interaction with her and the band. That's where it started for me.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's similar to my story. I met Sasha Travis a few years prior to that. I think 2 years prior to that. I auditioned for her. She was directing a show in LA, and I went in and interviewed with her, and then auditioned for her. And she cast me, and I instantly fell in love with her and her energy, and saw that she was sort of a leader in the arts community in Los Angeles. And then similarly, I also was on the Golden Stag show with Kazi and Sheena, and that was my first Alice music video as well. Was Catch Me Before Midnight, and I feel like the rest is history. I just feel like after that it was like magic.
Yeah, I think Sasha might be the common denominator here tonight. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
We love her truly. Yeah, she was the director of Ostro Dance Theater, which I was hired. I don't even remember what year it was. It was a long time ago, as choreographer, and have been with them ever since as their resident choreographer. And just working with her and everyone involved, I just love the energy and the people that she brings in. And you know, when she started asking me to do other projects with other companies, I've said I'm all in. If I can work with you, I'm all in. So that's how I got here.
That's like my through line with Sasha. Yes. I don't need the details on what you're asking me to do.
Yes.
I just need a date and a time.
That sounds amazing. So obviously, Sasha, if you're listening to this and watching this, then you've got a huge group that love and support everything that you do. So yeah, there it is. And I've included myself amongst that too, because her and everyone in the band are just amazing. And we're going to get to that in a second too. But all of you talked about like having your own companies, and obviously you have extensive dance backgrounds and acting and just everything you can think of artistically. And you kind of talked about this a little bit pre-show. But what do you think the future is going to look like as we kind of roll out? And you're talking about that, you know, up here, for example, in Seattle, they're trying to do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And some counties have moved to phase 2. Some people think that's way too early. And some people are like, we should be in phase 3, phase 4 already. But for artistic people, I know up here some of the theaters are trying to figure out how's this going to work even financially to have half the amount of people. Do we just stay with doing things virtually, you know, a longer period of time? What are your thoughts on that? And anyone can jump in.
I will just say that I don't really know what's going to happen, but I've been so impressed with, you know, the dance community and arts community in general. I think we were some of the first people to like hit the ground running with any of the alternative methods possible. I just saw online last night someone held a dance concert with a circle of cars, and you know, all the dancers with masks and 6 feet apart, which is, you know, who thinks of these things? It's an artist that's going to think of these things. So I think that it's going to be different for quite a while, I'm sure, but we're creative. And, you know, that's the whole industry. And so we're going to figure it out. There's going to be online things. There's going to be these bizarre performances happening in places, at, you know, drive-in theaters or whatever. But I'm all for it. I think it's amazing.
100%. 100%. We were talking pre-show about this. Artists are incredibly trained at pivoting. We have all pivoted our lives time and time again. This is, I'm not going to speak for everyone, obviously, but I think especially this crew right here, we know how to do this. I'm not saying that we're, you know, doing it well, perfectly, whatever. No, none of that. But, well, how do we make this work? I think that's how a lot of us have fallen into production. That's how a lot of us have fallen into the multifaceted careers that we have. I think that's why this collective makes sense for so many of us, because we get to trade all of our skills. I'm honestly really excited to see what this brings about. It's been fascinating. Really? Having ideas of my own, participating in other people's ideas. Let's get weird. Let's figure out how to do this stuff. I'm in.
Works for me.
I'm personally going to stay home and do ballet with my cat. Loves it.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying making quarantine music videos. I feel like that's been really fun. It's like I make my own set, put on my own costume, do my own makeup. Somebody gives me a prompt. It's like, I don't know, that part's kind of fun. It'll be interesting to see the different technology capabilities that come out of all this. I definitely am hopeful that evolutionary speaking, the artistic community will be leading forward in both coming back into the public eye, because you'll never be able to replace live art, but also the integration of telecommuting or technology could be really good for the environment as well as other people. So,
yeah, no, for sure. I was thinking about something as all of you were talking about your wonderful thoughts there. And one thing that I want to ask all of you is that somebody asked me recently, about 2 days ago, that whenever this is, when they kind of get back to what we quote unquote consider normal, what piece do I feel that am I going to redo in terms of this time? I know some people are already looking at that. Oh, I'm not going to be doing that again. I'm going to be doing this. Off the top of your heads, can you think of anything for yourselves personally that you want to kind of spend a little bit of time in redoing? Maybe you're already doing it. You just want to continue it on, open-ended.
I feel really. Oh, I'm so sorry. Nichelle.
No, I was just to say that I honestly, in my teaching, I mean, I've gone through a lot in the last few years and stuff, and in my teaching, I feel that I got not like lazy in it. I was more verbal than physical in my classes. And I was telling everyone pre-show that, like, you know, this has kind of kicked my butt back into shape, because online teaching, I have to do everything with my students so they can see what I'm doing, because they don't have other kids around them to watch. So I have to be the one doing it. And I kind of like went, okay, yeah, you need to get back in doing this. When we get back in the studio, you need to continue doing all this stuff with them, because it's, you know, it really got me back into shape, and, you know, I see a brighter future because of it.
That's great. Anyone else?
Absolutely. I honestly was going to say, you know, my details are very different, but very similar end goal. It's made me reinvest in all of my skill sets. It's made me reassess, what do I really love? What am I really committed to? What wasn't really lighting me up that much? And what don't I need to worry about anymore? I actually feel like, also with how well we've all been able to connect, with how much we've been encouraged to connect in this time, I've actually been networking like a fiend. I've actually been really making beautiful connections with a ton of really amazing people, artists that I've known, new people. So I feel like I'm going to be doing more creatively coming out of this. I'm already doing a decent amount creatively, and that's not what I expected. I expected everything to stop. I expected everything to freeze. So for it to be prospering is amazing. I think it's going to be even more. I think I'll be working my boring day job that we don't talk about significantly less, and doing what I love a lot more. There's more ways to do it. I've done this hand gesture like 37 times. I'm sorry.
For me personally, I'm gonna continue to put my bare feet in the ground. Like, I am gonna slow down more. You all are my witnesses. I'm saying it here. I tend to run 500 miles an hour on a hamster wheel all the time, and it's been really nice to lay in the hammock and read and walk barefoot and take that extra time to like make a really nice meal instead of rush through it so I can get on to the next thing. So that's what I'm going to bring back to the new normal.
That's how everything that Cassie just said is how I feel. I'm definitely going to take a few more vacation days and a lot more self-care time when I go back to living a busier style life.
Okay, yeah, all those things sound amazing. I was actually trying to remember what I had said to that person that asked me the question. And I had told them that sometimes I was getting so caught up pre-pandemic in terms of all of these live events that some of the things that I used to love doing, including writing about just general topics, not just reviewing things, I got away from it. And during this time, I've been able to write all kinds of things. And like what Sheena was just saying, I've been able to really network a lot during this time too. So I want to continue that. The fact that this whole opportunity to go on tour with Alice came during this time. So it's amazing. There's been, huge positives to this amongst, the other things that aren't so positive. But I know we have about 8 minutes left before we're going to turn it over to the amazing Alice for their first set. And if you are tuning in right now, this is the Inside Out Virtual Tour with Alice. I'm Mark from Eclectic Arts, and we are here talking with Lennon, Kasmira, Sheena, and Nichelle. And I want to kind of get close to wrapping this up. What kind of advice would you give to a young upstart artistic creative person? It doesn't matter if they're going for dance, acting, obviously, again, you guys have your hand in all kinds of different areas. What kind of advice would you give that young person that's watching this right now anywhere in the world that wants to basically do what you do?
Oh yeah, I would say get in there and do it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter if your art is where it needs to be yet, you'll get by doing. So, you don't have to be so careful. We train a lot in class to be very meticulous with our technique, whether it's dance or act or paint or sing, and that's great. And we need to train and the hard work, but we also need the doers, because the movers and the shakers, and that's what separates artists from not artists. And we need you. So whatever you're feeling, do it. Somebody else is feeling the same way and needs it.
Amen. Amen. That's been such a huge life lesson for me, overarching. I'm an older dancer, and just getting to the point now in my career where I'm just boldly doing the thing and not thinking too much. I'm pointing down because Lennon's down on my screen. I don't know where she is for you guys. But that exact thing, I wish 15 years ago that I would have been a lot more ballsy, and I would have thought so much less and just showed up and do the thing. I really wish I would have done more. Just go, fail so much, try to fail, try to collect no's. It's the best thing for you.
I love that you just said that, because it's so true. It's, you know, I have always believed, and I've always told my students and stuff like that, that you will get at least 100 no's for every one yes. So, you know, yes, go out there. You have to put yourself out. You have to do it. And, you know, especially in these times, don't get frustrated. It's a little slower going right now, but like we said earlier, we're artists and we're going to figure it out. And so don't get frustrated. Just keep going, keep training, keep doing whatever. And yeah, get those no's, and eventually you'll get that yes.
And just follow whatever brings you joy and makes you happy. Like, honestly, it'll lead you on the most magical ride. And even if it looks different than what everyone else is doing, like, just do more of what you love.
Okay, well, that is tremendous advice. I can't really think of anything else to add to that from my own perspective of things, other than what Nichelle was saying, very much so, that you want to fail forward. You can't always expect perfection. That's not going to happen. You have to keep trying and keep trying, and then eventually that yes does come. Just as we kind of wrap things up here, I know you guys have all kinds of memories of Alice, all kinds with the members, with Sasha, with somebody else in the band. I think some of you might even live near some of the band members, I understand, down there. So what are some fun things you'd like to share with everybody out there as we get close to wrapping this up? I'm sure you got a ton of things you could tell people.
Steve and I went to a Blackstreet concert and it was awesome. Shout out to Steve. And we also went to this, like, he took me to this really scary haunted house that I had to go through by myself. And that was terrifying, but it was awesome.
Thank you. I love that, like, on one of our video shoots where I choreographed, and I think you all were in it, rehearsing at the house. Like, it was so much fun. And then, like, Tosh in the kitchen cooking for everyone. And so, I mean, it was just like a big family having a party. Like, it was so much fun. They're great to be around.
Yeah, some of my fondest memories are rehearsing at that house with the whole band and all of the dancers with you, Nichelle. That was like a really magical summer for me.
That was a fun one.
So good. I think that's the keystone point with this band in particular, if it's okay for me to go there. It's always collaborative. I love that every time I say yes to an Alice project, I'm going to be with 10 of my closest friends. We're all going to throw ideas in the mix. We're going to play with a million things. What we rehearse and what finally makes it to edit is going to be vastly different. And all of it's exciting. And kind of looping back to the last question, it's that journey. It's doing what you love. We just get together and play. There are so many ways to work and do your art in the world. Find the group of people, find a group of friends that you get to go play with regularly. How lucky are we?
Do you remember when we all went to the desert to dance really, really loud? And the iPhone was overheating and had to be put in the ice cooler. And then Lennon thought there was actually a lake there. It was called Lake Mirage. So she started walking out to this lake. Or like, Lennon, no, come back, Lennon.
That's when I learned what a mirage was.
And go watch the video Mirage. It's awesome.
It's great. Nichelle
choreographed it.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. I know for myself, for those that are out there watching, that just what you said, you kind of feel sometimes, at least I do, that you're maybe the only person that thinks a certain way when you're an artist or a creative type of person. And maybe you've had people let you down or fail you. And then when I met these folks, it's almost like they weren't real, like they're too good to be true. And then you find out, no, that's actually how they are. They generally mean what they mean, and they are positive, creative, inspiring people. And it was so nice to find my tribe, basically. And I've been telling other people that are watching this, the other guests that are going to be coming on during the tour, to tune in, because the things they've been telling me is like, these are your people. You have to connect with them. And I think for all of you here right now, the four of you, people that are watching this, oh, I really, what she just said resonates with me. So I really want to bring people together. And I feel that's really part of what Alice does in such a magical way. And here we all are tonight on a Friday.
Hanging out.
All right.
This is music live.
So Lennon,
Hey, look, we're all on
Kasmira,
tour again.
go ahead. Lennon, Kasmira, Sheena, and Nichelle, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview and chat with me. It was a pleasure meeting all four of you. And I can't wait to turn it over to Alice in about 30 seconds. So thank you so much.
Thank
Be
you.
safe, stay safe.
So much.
And look forward to collaborating with you guys down the road. All right.
Definitely.
Shout out to my aunt and uncle watching. Love you guys.
So,
All right. So I am going to turn it down. I'm turning it over to the folks in Alice down in LA. Take it away.